cleaning is actually a necessity. In order to remove pathogens from a surface, you have to clean first. So it's very important to understand that it's not just an added bonus. It is something that you have to do in order for your program to be as effective as possible.
Welcome to the Poultry Podcast Show. I am here with Justin Sinclair. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Elizabeth. Glad to be here.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about biosecurity and cleaning, but first I want to hear, how did you get into this role in the industry? How did you find chickens or just animal health in general?
Yeah, well, probably a long story. I'll try to shorten it, but I grew up in a farming community. I grew up in a farming community and a farming family. Both sides of my family, my mother and my father, their families were farmers, row crop farming, livestock, kind of a little, my family was just big in agriculture. So I learned at an early age the value of hard work. And because I worked a lot on the farms. We had a broiler operation, sort of I'd say a mid-sized broiler operation that my father owned. So I worked started in chickens way back then when I was probably, I don't even know, middle school, something like that. We had a swine farm that I also worked at, but I was kind of drawn to the chickens. I enjoyed working with birds. I enjoyed working with animals in general. So that's sort of how I cut my teeth with it. So, as I got older, got into, ready to go to college, I probably didn't have the best career path. At least didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing, but I knew I wanted to be something in the poultry industry. I knew that's where I enjoyed that. I wanted to learn more about it. So anyway, went to NC State University in the poultry science program. It was a small program, but that's where I really learned that poultry was more than just my family farm. It was very expansive. I enjoyed learning more about the industry, different facets of the industry. It's where I also built some good relationships. I had some really great professors and great leaders in that program. So upon graduation, I got into the live operation side of it. So I didn't want to necessarily be a farmer, my whole entire life, but I did want to work with farmers. I wanted to be a part of that. So I got into live operations, worked for integrator for a decade plus a few years, put it that way. And I got a lot of experience in the live operation side. So I serviced pullets, serviced breeder farms, serviced broiler farms, and I actually managed a hatchery, managed a breeder department for a few years. So I got a lot of experience that way. But that's go back about another from this point about 5 years back. I saw this job that I've got now I think found me. I'd been in the live operation side for a long time. I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. I knew a lot of the challenges that those guys were facing. I was going through some of those same challenges myself. And when I saw that Ecolab had acquired a company called CID LINES and expanded their animal health division out a little bit, I think they really did that. Of course, it was a business opportunity, but also they saw the challenges on the poultry and swine side at that time too. This was back when AI had really come back in full force back in around 2020, dealing with COVID. So they actually acquired a company during COVID. I can't imagine how stressful that must have been. That happened a little before I came on, but anyway, so I think we had some of the same vision. That's how I saw it. I've seen some of the challenges on not just biosecurity, but just in disease control in general. And Ecolab saw the same thing. That's why they acquired CID LINES. Ecolab had been for many years. The animal health division was just dairy focused. So with this acquisition, they expanded into the poultry and swine industry as well. And so that's why I say I think the job kind of found me. It wasn't. It was something that I just thought would be a good fit. So now I spend my time developing with producers, with customers, developing hygiene sanitation programs for hatcheries, for farms, and that's what I do. So I'm taking some of those challenges and working through them with our customer base now.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, there's nothing like real life experience to understand what might or might not work in the production setting.
I agree. I mean, I was on both sides of it. So, we were a
Yeah.
producer, we were a grower. My family was for a while. Then I've been on the live operation side of it. So on the management side, on the other sort of on the other side of that, and now more in sales and product management, account management side of it. So get to see a little bit of everything. And there's a lot of similarities, a lot of differences, but it's good to have that background. I think in this industry where you can really work with different types of people and different types of personalities and understand it all. So,
Are you looking for effective cleaning and disinfection solutions for your farm or hatchery? Look no further than CID LINES and Ecolab Company. Our AV Prime program offers advanced hygiene solutions that ensure thorough cleaning and disinfection of facilities and drinking water solutions. With products like Kenosan, Viracid, and our newest edition, CID 15X, you can reduce pathogens, improve animal health, and boost productivity. Trust CID LINES and Ecolab Company for cleaner, healthier, and more effective poultry production.
Well, farm and hatchery biosecurity is one of the biggest and probably most stressful topics I know of outside of the avian flu in the poultry industry, because I mean, the diseases and cleanliness and flock health are all linked to your biosecurity and cleanliness protocols. So I'm excited to talk to you about this today. So maybe can you just get us started with, what is the difference between some of the terms somebody might use as far as biosecurity, cleaning, and disinfection? Can you give us a baseline there, and then we can have our discussion on those after?
So when it comes to biosecurity, I mean, cleaning and disinfection is just a small part of biosecurity. Someone told me about to define biosecurity is very simple. It's only chickens in our chicken houses or only turkeys in our turkey houses. So basically trying to keep everything out. That's the whole mindset here. I specifically work on the cleaning and disinfection side, but I do like to discuss, biosecurity in terms of everything that's associated with it. Because if you have I can talk cleaning and disinfection all day, but if there's other weak links in your biosecurity program, you can do everything exactly perfect in your cleaning and disinfection program and still have flaws and still see falls in the system. Biosecurity is the broad term, but we at CID LINES and Ecolab Company really hone in on the cleaning and disinfection part. But it's all important, and it all needs to come together for it to be an effective program. As far as the defining cleaning and defining disinfection, that's two very different things. I think when we talk about cleaning, you're really talking about removing the vector for different pathogens. Cleaning is, I think a lot of times it's seen as something like it's an added bonus. If you have the time, if you have the manpower, if you have if you don't have certain constraints and you can do cleaning, then great. It's actually not the case. Cleaning is actually a necessity. In order to remove pathogens from a surface, you have to clean first. So it's very important to understand that it's not just an added bonus. It is something that you have to do in order for your program to be as effective as possible. I call this the 95-5 rule. 95% of the pathogens on a farm or in a hatchery can be removed by cleaning alone. So cleaning, if you want to compare cleaning and disinfection, how important it is, cleaning is, in my opinion, much more important. That extra 5% that's left over, that's what you target with a disinfectant. And that extra 5% that's left over is responsible for roughly about 95% of the disease-causing pathogens that you're going to have to face. So that's sort of the 95-5 rule. But it hopefully makes you understand that they're both important. You have to have one with the other for it to be effective.
I think probably people might think about them interchangeably, but you're absolutely right that cleaning cannot be overlooked. Pick the stuff up first that might be causing the problem.
Yeah, and it's not just chemically cleaning. Of course, I deal a lot with detergents. You'll hear that term too: detergents, soaps, cleaners. They're all the same thing. They're just cleaning chemistries. But you have to focus too on before you even get to that part of it, that step, the actual dry cleaning, removing as much organic material as possible. I mean, you can't just go in there and just spray a detergent all over, a heavy layer of dirt. You want to remove that. That's what we call that a dry cleaning. Remove as much of that as possible before you even introduce a cleaning chemical. And I can kind of lump in cleaning maybe someone might disagree with me, but even rodent control, insect control, things like that you really want to target when birds are out of your barns, when you can go in there and really hit that kind of hard. That's sort of all. I kind of encompass all that together. You want to make sure that you remove as many vectors for those pathogens as possible.
So I think you're kind of getting into it, but then what are the best practices to maximize efficiency of maybe both the combination of the cleaning and disinfection step?
Yeah, well, the application really depends on what your goal is, what type of facilities you're dealing with. I mean, the two most important things that really control the effectiveness of your program are one, the chemistry, picking the right product, the right product for the right job, and then the application part of it. So when you're applying chemistry, your program can kind of it kind of lives and dies by that. We can have the best products, and we've got really good cleaning products, good disinfection products. If they're not applied the right way, it doesn't matter. You've got to get that element to it. So when we talk about applications, but with cleaners or disinfectants, it really boils down to like three types of application. So spraying the chemistry on, foaming, and fogging. So with spraying, I'd say if you have to spray a chemistry on, if that's the only option, then you have, it's better than nothing. I really like to focus on that middle one, the foaming part of it. So foaming a cleaner foaming a detergent onto a surface is going to give you multiple advantages. One being contact time. Contact time is key with a detergent, and it's key with a disinfectant. The longer you can get that product to stay on a surface, the longer it's going, or the better job it's going to do. Is the better working power that product's going to have. So there's a lot of, with a detergent, there's a lot of surfactants. There's a lot of things that are in that chemistry that are designed to pull away organic material, to emulsify, to separate that so you can rinse it away. The longer it sits on the surface, the more it's going to do that. Same with a disinfectant. You have certain kill times that you have to achieve, certain contact times for that disinfectant to actually work and kill the pathogen that you're targeting. And the longer you can get that product on the surface, the better. So that's why we always recommend a foam cleaning and foam disinfecting as well. Now, there's a third option is fogging. You think about fogging more on the disinfectant side. I don't necessarily like to replace fogging or replace foaming with fogging. I like to think of fogging as sort of a secondary disinfectant. I love fogging, thermofogging or cold fogging, whatever you can actually do. But if you can fog a barn, all those areas up in the top, the crevices, the cracks in the bottom, things where you may not actually be able to reach with a foaming unit or a spraying unit, that fog is going to penetrate that and get to some additional surfaces that you maybe couldn't get with another application. So that's we really preach that is if you have the capability and the equipment. Again, that gets down to we work with customers a lot on that, on the equipment side, and making sure you have the right equipment to actually perform the foaming and the fogging. That's really how we recommend to do it. And it's there's no I wouldn't say there's a cookie cutter approach to it. It depending on the facility itself can be very different. But that's what we do. We go in and try to make those recommendations. So, when it comes to application, that's usually our recommendation. And also the whole, so there's a step-by-step approach to cleaning and disinfection. I've mentioned this already a little bit, but we call it a 7-step approach. So the first step would be dry cleaning, remove as much organic material as possible. The second step will be to actually clean, or again, recommending the foam clean, get that contact time. Again, you get contact time, you get visual representation of where you've been. So where you've actually cleaned, you can't really see that with a spray, but if it's a foam, you have a visual representation of the clean surface. And then from that point on, after you clean, you want to rinse it away. You always want to rinse away a detergent, rinse away a cleaner from a surface. Fourth step would be to dry. This is probably the step that I see skipped more than any other step, is because it takes time. And a lot of
Yeah.
times in the poultry industry, that's something that a lot of people don't have is time, especially on the farm side. But we do recommend a drying period in between, because the next step, which is going to be to disinfect, you're already diluting a chemistry. You're diluting a product down to a labeled recommendation. And if you're disinfecting a wet surface, that's further dilution. So you're going to get further dilution of the chemistry, and potentially not get the kill that you need from that disinfectant. And then after you disinfect, the sixth step would be to dry again. You always want to introduce birds, or whether it's live birds or if it's eggs, whatever the case may be. You want to do that into a dry environment. And then the next step, the last step, which is probably again one that skipped a lot, is to validate. So this gets back to you can talk about validation for a long time, but if we have customers that are spending the money, spending the time to do these steps and to do it right, we want to make sure that you're validating it. Make sure that if there's any weaknesses in this program that you've implemented, that you know it right as soon as it happens, and not down the road when it becomes an even bigger problem. So validate it. At the very least, do a visual inspection of what you've cleaned and disinfected. Plating, ATP swabbing, drag swabs, things like that. Those are going to be an even further step of validation. But yeah, it's very important to validate your procedures. And again, that's going to tell you where your weak links are, and make sure that you're getting the best efficacy of your not only your products, but the whole application process.
You've mentioned that products have kind of these general categories of chemistry. If someone is curious about maybe using a chain, a 7-step program, and maybe they're using a 1-step right now, they just throw bleach on it. I'm just, making it up. What are the general kind of chemistry categories that you should hit if you're trying to maximize or improve your current program?
So I will say this, for cleaners, for cleaning products, I don't look so much at the chemistry itself, more so the type of cleaner it is. So you've got basically you can categorize your detergents down into 2 groups: acidic and alkaline. And yes, chemistry does have a play in that, of what kind of chemistries are involved to make it acidic or alkaline.
Yeah.
But if and it also depends on what type of soil load that you're targeting. So I like this, we're talking about a barn, a chicken barn. A lot of times what you're going to see in there is organic material. So your fats, proteins, manure, things like that are typical in a barn. You want to target that with an alkaline cleaner. So a lot of times, acidic cleaners being used in barns, and that is important for so often. It is important to rotate in an acidic cleaner, but an alkaline on the pH scale, that organic material is acidic in nature. So you want to target it with an alkaline cleaner. And vice versa with inorganic material. So your inorganic material, which is going to be more alkaline in nature, your trace minerals, calcium deposits, things like that, scale buildup. A lot of times what you would see inside of a drinker line, that needs to be targeted with an acidic cleaner. So it's sort of the reverse. So that's what I really focus on, and trying to make sure people understand that. When again, that gets back to application. Picking the right type of detergent is going to be key. On the we talk about that with rotating chemistries. I look, instead of rotating products or rotating certain types of chemistries, I like to rotate that in. So if you're using mostly alkaline cleaner on the farm side, it is good to rotate it in acid every once in a while to target any kind of inorganic buildup. So that's what I focus more on versus the actual chemistries themselves.
Sure.
And then on the disinfectant side, it's a little different. I mean, of course, there's a lot of different chemistries on the market. The main thing is that you understand the labels, understand whatever your target pathogen is, that it's labeled for that use. There's a lot of different chemistries that are very good at killing, an envelope virus, and not so much a non-enveloped, or just for instance. But yeah, making sure that you understand the label, that's the key. Making sure that it's labeled for that use, for whatever application you've got and for whatever pathogens that you're targeting. But yeah, as far as chemistries on the disinfectant side, there's a lot. There's very many different types.
Yeah.
The main thing is just understanding what you're using, and if you have questions, to ask the right people, ask the manufacturer, ask your supplier.
So, in terms of like getting producers on board with paying a little more attention to different steps and different products, and then also putting in that factor of time, how do I get a producer on board to understand that biosecurity is an investment? It's monetary, but it's also time. And it's not, the cost is worth it, basically. How do I get someone to understand that end cost?
Yeah, well, I'll say this: we in the biosecurity field have got to do a better job of linking good biosecurity practices to a decrease in obvious decrease in disease prevalence, and in turn an increase in profitability for the consumer, for the integrator, for the producer.
Mm-hmm.
That is sometimes difficult to do. I mean, if you think about biosecurity, it's not as tangible as some other things. So it's easy to say, this farm had zero disease outbreaks. That was because of the good biosecurity program. Someone else could say, well, that was just a solid vaccination program, or just simply chance. So it's difficult to put value on it. And that's where I think back to my point, is that we've got to do a better job of bringing that value, because we know that good biosecurity, good cleaning and disinfection, good hygiene on the farm leads to better health for your birds. And if you have better health, you should have better performance, hopefully better weights, lower feed conversion, better lower mortality rates. So it's sort of one of those things where it's kind of common sense. You understand that good animal health is going to lead to those types of things, but can you actually put a value on it? That's difficult to do, and that's something that we've done over the last few years. We've made a valid push to really be able to put numbers to some of our claims. Now we go out, we talk about our products being very, our products, our procedures, our recommendations being top of the line. But ultimately, no one cares. No one cares unless you're able to show value to a customer. So,
yeah, you're right.
Makes sense, right? So one thing or a few things that we've done is actually partnered with some academia. We've partnered with some outside research firms to be able to put some value behind our talk a little bit. So again, what I just said, we've talked about it. We talk about it a lot, how good our programs are. But can we start to look at metrics on the farm side to be able to really prove that? And that's something that we've really been working on. I can talk a long time about some of the research and things we've been doing. And if it's okay, we can talk about it. But there's a lot to it. But this is just something that I think has not been done very well in our industry. Is to be able to really showcase the value. That's something it's difficult to do. It takes time, and it takes a good listening ear to be able to understand it. But it's something that we've definitely been working on as sort of a campaign over the last couple of years within our company.
Yeah, well, I mean, the economics and pointing out to a specific variable was the cause. Gosh, that can be really difficult. Is there a study that kind of comes to the front of your mind as either it just really pinpointed how the importance of biosecurity and cleaning protocols, or maybe do you have some data that might, or where to point people to your repository if they're interested?
Sure. Yeah. So we have been working again internally, but with the assistance of some academia and some outside sources to help us with this process. But yes, we've just to kind of I'll give you a quick kind of rundown of what we've done with the University of Georgia over the last couple of years. So we wanted to go in and actually look at a real world scenario. So not inside of a lab, not theoretical practices, but can we implement our protocols, our recommendations, and with our products, and be able to actually see a decrease in disease prevalence. Our focus was on salmonella. Now there's if you're an integrator, someone that works for an integrator right now, there's a long list of disease challenges that it can seems like it can change month by month of what the focus is.
Yeah.
One of those is and something that's is actually a large problem or a very widespread problem is salmonella. More so when you get into the processing part of it in the plant. But we wanted to see if we can actually control salmonella on the farm throughout the production cycle and be able to see if we could be able to carry those results to the processor. So we kind of called it our farm to fork approach, our farm to fork research. UGA was responsible for the sampling. What we did was just go in with our protocol recommendations and our products, and we actually saw very good results. So, when it came to just disease prevalence, what we did was basically looking at it was set up as a study, so a control versus a treatment group. We started in pullets, and again, going back to what I said earlier, this is real world scenarios. We partnered with an integrator down in the southeast part of the United States. And we wanted to not replace everything that they were doing, but just take what they were currently doing, their sanitation programs and some of their protocols, and use that as the control, and then kind of come in with our program. So we've actually kind of termed this hygiene program our Ava Prime program. So come in with our Ava Prime program, and that would be the treatment. When I talk about a Ava Prime program, I'm basically just saying a complete hygiene program. So we wanted to focus on cleaning and disinfection, surface cleaning and disinfection on the farm, and terminal line cleaning, so cleaning of the drinker lines, and then continuous water treatment. That's what we've always said is a complete hygiene program. You can simplify that down to where it's practical and manageable. But that was the treatment group. So what we saw starting in the pullets, at 12 weeks of age to 20 weeks, we actually saw a 100% reduction in salmonella. Looking at boot swabs on the farm, again, UGA was responsible for the sampling itself. So I like to tell people it wasn't me just going in and tapping my feet around with boot swabs by the door. Yeah, we actually had academia doing the research. So we actually saw a 100% reduction in prevalence in boot swabs and in pullets, which to me was astonishing. I did not think we would see that much of a reduction. And then when we get into, again, I said this, I can talk for a long time on this study, so I'm trying to shorten it a little bit.
Yeah.
But we get into the looking at it on the breeder side. Again, we track that pullet flock, those pullet flocks, the control versus the treatment, all the way into the breeder side. We saw very similar results in the breeders too, up to a 95% reduction control versus treatment in salmonella, doing drag swabs on the equipment, boot swabs, plating, and water analysis. So all those things we looked at and saw a almost another 100% reduction control versus treatment. So that was. To me, that was just really good field data. It was great to see, but at the same time, okay, it's just field data. What does it mean for a producer, for an integrator? So that's when we track that all the way through, and we get into the broiler part of it, they actually check the broiler carcasses in the plant to see if we could continue that. See if we could continue that trend all the way through. I actually saw a 67% reduction in salmonella on broiler carcasses in the plant. Before the chiller, so before antimicrobials were administered in the plant. So, which is just a really long way of saying we were actually able to see decrease in disease challenge, salmonella specifically, all the way through from farm to fork. So that was something that's sort of cutting edge in the industry. There's a lot of other studies out there that look at prevalence of salmonella and where you can find it at certain parts of throughout the chain of production. What we really looked at was not so much the prevalence, but just can we reduce it? Can we take cleaning and disinfection, something that a lot of people see as just a cost, just another box to check? Can we take that? Can we do it the right way? Can we partner with partner with the right people? Applicators were doing the C&D. We were up against the same time constraints, the same labor constraints. We wanted this to be real. So, you can have those constraints. You can have certain challenges, along the line and still be able to get good results. So that's what we really wanted to come away with. And I think we were able to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one study that we've conducted. And again, it's a lot of data. It's a lot of things that we can talk about. But and if anyone, of course, anyone ever wants some more detail, they can reach out and we can have some more discussions on that. But
I mean, that's a heck of a trial, starting from pullets all the way out to their babies. So
yeah,
it's investment.
A big investment. And like I said, it was real world. So we had challenges with installing equipment. We were water treatment equipment. Real things that people go through and trying to work through those problems. So I'd say interesting. Interesting was it's probably a good word, because it was the whole process was very interesting.
So are there any major points that we haven't touched on today before, or anything you want to emphasize before we wrap up our chat? Yeah,
I just want to, going back to the value of cleaning and sanitation, cleaning and disinfection. That study I just talked about, that we were looking at disease prevalence, but there's other metrics that we were looking at. There's another study actually that we took part in. This was actually overseas in Belgium. We were looking at live metrics, so comparing very similar cleaning strategies of control versus the treatment. Someone not cleaning as well, and then implementing our program. We're actually able to see things other than just disease, prevalence drop off. We actually saw increase in production. So a heavier bird actually doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're talking about over the course of a long period of time, and a lot of birds, a 20 gram per bird increase in weight. We actually saw a 20% reduction in mortality. So these things that, if you're just looking at it from one flock, and, you can say, well, this was, could have been a fluke, whatever. It could, things can happen. But looking at it over a long period of time and being able to capture those results and be able to carry them through, that's what actually brings value to the customer and to us in the industry. So, but yeah, that's it's something that is it's hard to showcase unless you're doing it the right way and being able to work with the right people. And I think we did that. But just as I guess if this is a sort of a final thought type thing, I mean, I would just say that biosecurity, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to biosecurity, and most of the time it's a human element. It's the human factor. The birds, what problems we see with biosecurity, the birds are not going to fix them. It's us who have to fix that problem.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just small things, small details that start to add up over time. Small little, skipping certain steps in your cleaning and disinfection program. Just being complacent over time. Things are working, things are good, and there's not a heavy disease challenge. It's very easy to follow your biosecurity program and not be issues. But when the things get bad, over the course of time, are you keeping those are you keeping that same mindset? And that's the human element. We all have that trait to kind of get a little lazy sometimes or complacent. But when it comes to biosecurity, that's something we just can't afford to do. So, it's, we have to just have, our culture with biosecurity has to be better. At Ecolab Company I work for, safety is a big, we have a culture of safety.
Yeah.
And I tell people when I go around meeting customers, if you're having a meeting, internal company meeting, you say, if you're on the live production side and you're in management, and you're meeting with your employees or growers, the first two things you should discuss are safety and biosecurity every time. Those should be the two most important things that you ever talk about. And it's got to stay on the forefront of thought at all times. If not, people get complacent and you start to see issues down the road with it. So yeah, I guess I can kind of leave you with that, is that, biosecurity, there is cost associated with it. But in the long term, the investment that you're going to get from healthier birds is worth that cost. It's worth the time and the effort going behind it.
Yeah. Well, I think that your thoughts on the topic are really great and interesting. I definitely learned a lot more about the categorical nature of some of the cleaning. So I loved chatting with people who are experts in their field.
It's time for our famous three.
At Nexus, powered by SAM, we redefine livestock nutrition with science-backed innovations that enhance performance, maximize efficiency, and promote sustainability. We connect producers with the future of animal health and productivity through cutting-edge feed technologies and environmentally conscious solutions. By addressing the demand for efficient, sustainable nutrition, we reflect SAM Nutrition's commitment to excellence, delivering premium, scientifically proven solutions that drive results.
Before we wrap up today, I want to ask you the 3 questions we ask all of our guests. Do you have a favorite resource that someone might go to for your daily job? It sounds like there could be some really good ones to help orient someone who might be newer to the field of biosecurity and cleaning.
Yeah, we've internally we've got some great data that we've started to put out now, and some literature with it that I would encourage people to seek out and look up. For me personally, just on a daily basis, I like to check. I probably don't do as much reading as I should. Well, I do reading. I'm reading a lot. I read a lot of articles. I'm online a lot looking at. I've got a couple of poultry-related sites. Watt Poultry site. There's a few others that I like to really keep track of. Not just to for me, I have a lot of customer interface, and I want to know how what our customers are going through and some of the storylines here and there. But even outside of my own field, I like to just know within our industry what are some of the new things coming up, some of the new technologies, things like that, to where I'm interested in it, and I enjoy it. And I'm probably, I'd say, every day on one of those websites, just looking up some of the headlines.
Do you have a non-poultry resource that you've something that you've listened to or watched or read?
I'll say this: I'm a man of faith. I'm very unashamed of that, and I do read the Bible. I think that there's a lot of valuable information in there. I mean, I try to live my life, by a certain code, and that I do try to make that part of my daily life. Not to say that's for everyone, but that for me, that's just what I do enjoy doing. And then, I'd say, I'll say this: I had a veterinarian a long time ago. Used to say this all the time, and if you ever work with him, you probably know who I'm talking about. But he used to say the first thing you should do when you roll out of bed in the morning, read your Bible and read your biosecurity program. And that for me, probably when I heard those words a long time ago, I don't think I was doing either one of those very well. But as I've matured a little bit in my faith and also in professionally, I understand the value of both of those. That phrase is kind of stuck in my memory probably forever.
Sometimes those phrases become monumental for changes. So it's awesome. The last thing I want to ask you, as someone who's been just a lifetime poultry enthusiast, I'll just leave it at that, growing up and then staying in the industry, you've seen all aspects. So what is your best advice for someone who wants to enter the industry, specifically maybe in your field?
I'd say no matter what your field is. I mean, and I've seen this in some of the best leaders that I've had the pleasure of working with. Is to have a servant's mindset. Now, when I say, you could say the same thing by just saying leading by example. Some of the best people that I've really not only enjoyed working with, but just really respected, since I was a kid up until now, is those that are not afraid to get their hands dirty and to go in and when they see a problem, not just point it out, but actually work alongside others to address a problem. I think if you can be that way, it doesn't matter if you're at the top of a company or boots on the ground on a daily basis. Have that mindset and be able to actually work with people and try to invest in people in their lives, and just that just to me goes a long way. That, and just enjoy what you're doing. People are going to listen to you more. People are going to respect you more if they know that you really enjoy what you do. And sometimes that's hard. You're not going to be able to do that every day, but Find something that you enjoy doing. Like I said, and also be prepared to learn something all the time. And don't be scared to learn new things. I know on this podcast, there's a lot of doctors, PhDs. I don't have a PhD behind my name, but I've been around long enough to know where, if you hang around the right people and you listen a lot, you pick up a lot of things and you learn a lot, learn a lot of valuable lessons in the long run. So that's my long-winded answer, I guess, of what the characteristics of a good employee in the poultry industry.
I think that's great advice, and I can see definitely that you're enthusiastic at your current position. And I honestly, if you make biosecurity boring, no one's going to listen to you. So
Exactly.
You're on the right path.
Exactly right, yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to the boring person droning about how you're not cleaning properly. So, man, I think you bring a great enthusiasm to your role.
You've got to bring you've got to get back to the human element. You've got to make things critical. You've got to relate to people and kind of pull at the human strings a little bit. That's just a necessity.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for talking to me and to our listeners today. Listeners, if you like this episode, like it, share it with your friends, reach out if you've got any questions. But again, great episode. I learned a lot and I love chatting with industry professionals.
Thanks, Elizabeth.